Hi, I'm Steve Endo, and I'm a Microsoft Dynamics GP MVP. This video is Max vs. Top 1, Part 2, Revenge of the IV 30500 table. In Part 1, I tried to answer the question, which is faster, Max versus Top 1? And I went through several queries that showed that usually Max and Top 1, when they can hit the same index, they often perform the same. You can produce some slight variations, but it wasn't significant. There was some variance, but generally both performed fairly well. But after doing some additional queries, I came across the lovely Dynamics GP IV30500 table. And this is an inventory transaction table. There was nothing special about it except that it happened to have 140 some thousand rows, so I was able to do some tests with a table with a little more data than normal in the GP test company. So let's take a look at some sample queries. And again, this is testing on SQL Server 2014. So if you're testing on a different version, you might see different results. And the table size, the number of records in that table, can affect the query performance. So if you have 10,000 rows, you may see completely different results than what I'm showing here. But with my table, I'm seeing some expected results on certain max versus top 1 queries, but then I'm seeing a specific unexpected result with one particular field. And so I'm going to show how those queries are turning out, and I'm going to show everything that I tried that didn't fix the problem. And I still don't have a solution yet as to how to resolve the problem through normal maintenance processes. So let's take a look. Here I have the IV 30500 table, 147,000 rows, and this is what the data looks like. Now, in order to isolate this, I have created a new database called max test, and the only table that I left in it after restoring the TWO database is this one IV 30500 table. And I'll talk about the rebuild table later. But for these tests, this is the only table here, and stripped everything else out and just wanted to isolate it and see that the behavior was consistent after restoring a database and trying every other thing I could to solve the problem. So basic query max versus top 1, we're going to check on the posted date. So you see that we have the same number of logical reads, and our execution plan shows 50% cost, 50% cost. So in this case, on a posted date query, max versus top 1 behave effectively the same as last time. So just a reminder that I also tried a query with some where clauses. So in this situation, added some where clauses. Interestingly, same results, 50-50. So where things started to get a little different is when I force SQL Server off of a good index. So in this case, I'm going to change the where clause to use item number, but I'm still going to run the max and top 1 against transaction source. So when I do that, we will notice a difference. We have 2,076 logical reads versus 5 logical reads. So things change dramatically. And why is that? Well, here we see we have a table scan. So the max and the where clause produced a table scan. That was the best that it could do. It couldn't use an index, and we get a 99% cost versus 10. Now, on the last video, I showed that the non-clustered index could improve the performance slightly, but it only brought it to a 90% versus 10% cost ratio. So there is a demonstration here that max versus top can behave very differently for the same query. So now, these are the indexes. We'll just skip over those because we've seen the results. So here is where things get really interesting. When I perform a max versus top 1 on the transaction source field, which is a car field, not a date field, I got very different results. So let's rerun that and see. So if we look at messages, we see logical reads 647, logical reads 3. So we already know that max is not going to perform as well as top 1. So let's take a look. Well, this is strange. We see in the execution plans, they look very similar. We have an index scan. We have an index scan. This has a stream aggregate. This has a top. But why would an index scan be much more expensive than another index scan? And the cost of this is 100% versus 0%. So there's a dramatic difference here. And I stared at this for the longest time until I finally hovered over this. And do you notice what the potential issue is? So here are the index scan details for the max index scan. And if I go down here, here are the index details for the top one index scan. So let's go back up here. So if you look closely, look at the line that says actual number of rows. See how it says 147,316? That is the total number of rows in the table. But if we go down here, actual number of rows is 1. So this query had to go through every record in the index in order to produce the max result, whereas this query, only had to return 1 row in order to return the top 1 result. Very interesting. So what is going on here? We did the same query on posted date, and it didn't do that. So let's scroll back up here. Let's take a look at our posted date, and let's execute it. Well, we had an index scan here. We had an index scan here, but this index scan returned 1 row, just like this one, 1 and 1. They're behaving similarly, but for some reason, when I query transaction source, the index scan does not return 1 row. It goes through every single row in the table. Okay, why? If the posted date behaved efficiently, why is this index scan apparently behaving very inefficiently? It doesn't know what's in the index. It's as if the index has no sort and is not effective at all. This almost looks like a table scan as far as I can tell. So what is going on here? Well, I was trying to isolate what the issue might be. Well, is there something about the index? Is something not optimized? Do I need to reindex, reorganize? What's going on? So I tried several things, nothing worked. So I said, well, let's take a look. Let's use the SQL Import Export Wizard to export all of the table out of IV30500 and put it into a new table that will add the indexes back. And that's what I did. So I exported all the data out of here, put it in this new table, and I ran scripts to recreate the indexes. Exact same indexes, just with different names, use the same primary key, non-clustered primary key. So this table should, as far as I can tell, be effectively identical to IV30500. So let's rerun this same query on transaction source, but we're going to hit the rebuild table. So when I run this, look at that. Logical reads 3, logical reads 3. Execution plan 50-50. So what is going on here? Effectively the same table, the same data, the same indexes, but I just moved the data into a new table, re-indexed it, added the indexes back, and it behaves as I would expect, just like the posted date field. What's going on here? So I thought, what makes the IV305 table have poor performance, but the rebuild table have good performance? It's almost like there's something physical with the table. Something's going on with the original IV305 table that is causing the problem. Okay, let's see what might help. Okay, so one suggestion I got is, well, just make sure that nothing's being cached, that there's no execution plan that's being cached. Great. So let's run free proc cache. Okay, so let me rerun my query on IV305. Nope, exactly the same. Okay, so let's try reindexing. So let's take this AK1 IV30500 table and reindex using the default zero fill factor that GP uses. Great, let's give that a try. So it's going to rebuild that entire index, and it's completed. So let's rerun my IV305 query. Nope, no improvement. We still get 147,000 rows returned in this index scan. Okay, so now we did a reindex. Let's try updating statistics. It shouldn't matter, but I'm trying everything here. Okay, that completed successfully. Rerun the same query. Surprise, nothing, no difference. I'm running out of things to test. So let's check table fragmentation. I don't know. We rebuilt the indexes, so they shouldn't be fragmented. So I'm going to run this scary looking query to find out what fragmentation exists on these indexes. So we see that the AK1 IV305 has 0.4% fragmentation. Page size used is 99%. So this index should be in excellent shape. And you notice that the rebuild table, very similar, 0.46, 99.35. So rebuild table runs fine. 305 table does not run fine. Not sure what is going on here. There are probably some other DBCC commands, some other administrative tasks, but so far the only way that I've been able to figure out how to get this query to perform the way I would expect a 50-50 result is by exporting the data into a new copy of the table and adding the indexes back. So it's a puzzle. I don't know the answer yet. This is well past my area of expertise, so I am asking a SQL Server expert from help to see if she happens to know what might be causing this behavior. Thought that was really interesting, and if you have any thoughts or ideas, let me know, and I hope I figure out the answer eventually and make a new video with the solution explaining why this is going on. So what are the lessons here? Well, my seemingly simple questions just beget more questions. The more I learn, the more it seems I don't quite understand these behaviors that I'm seeing and how SQL Server is interpreting them. And this started out with a very simple question, max versus top one, and it's turned into a very surprising journey. And it's a demonstration that even a very simple SQL question may require an expert to figure out what's going on and interpret the results that you're seeing. I hope you found this interesting. You can follow me on Twitter at SteveEndo or check out my blog at dynamicsgplan.blogspot.com.